Some people have asked me how Heart of a Warrior took shape and what the book might actually do. Well, the first thing is, as writers, I believe that sometimes we're too close to the things that we do, and we can't really write about them until we're removed from them. And that definitely happened to me in this book, Heart of a Warrior. I've practiced and been involved with Taekwondo for 40 years, over 40 years, and during all the teaching and training I found that I was actually too close to much of what was going on, too close to it to write about it. And it wasn't until I had removed myself from it and stepped back from the intensity of the teaching and the training that I was able to put things together. But even during those years, especially in the later years, I found myself writing a few short poems that might reflect a warrior spirit. And those poems were more like just play or self-discovery. And then I started also to think about the legends of the Hwarang Do, which we used to tell to our students all the time to help illustrate the seven, what we call the seven ancient secrets in the book, but are actually the seven tenets of Taekwondo, which are courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit, community service, and love. So the legends of the Hwarang Do and those tenets and applications to real life, as they grew out of the teaching, I sort of stored those away, I guess, and they became part of the book when I started to reflect on my life as a teacher. Interestingly, I taught in the last few years of my martial arts teaching, taught a class at one of the high schools in Illinois, and the class was a first period physical education class, and it was all Taekwondo. And as part of the final exam for some of these students at times, of course I would ask them to perform, but I'd also ask them to write. And among the questions on a final exam would be, how does one of these tenets, how does one of these principles affect your life, and how does one go about practicing it? And so then the student voices became a really important part of this book as it was starting to come into my mind. So we had a little bit of poetry, some stories and legends of the Hwarang. We had the tenets, the basic rules and principles as a root, and then of course the class for the high schoolers allowed me to hear student voices, and so all of these pieces started to come together, and in the last, say, 4 or 5 years I was able to begin compiling them, and along with some instructional techniques and instructional portions of the book that tend to make it whole. So we have a combination of things that work in Heart of a Warrior. And these seven ancient secrets, as we call them in the book, are really fundamental to, I think, all of us as human beings. All of our happiness and success are somehow rooted someplace in these seven principles. But I think one really distinguishing feature of the book is it really is all about encouragement, and we all need to realize that we're going to stumble along the way. So the book itself is an encouraging and a very human approach to self-improvement that I'd like the students to grasp.